Hello everyone and welcome to DC Central, and in this video we are going to be breaking down and discussing the news that a new Arrow spin-off has been officially greenlit at the CW, which is going to be a female-led-esque Birds of Prey spin-off for the show, so let's dive into it. So with Arrow going into its 8th and final season this year, there's been a lot of speculation regarding what will happen to the future of Arrow as the years go forward, and will a potential spin-off eventually happen on the CW and continue the legacy throughout the Arrowverse going forward. And it seems like that has officially been confirmed, as we now have the CW officially greenlighting a Arrow female-led spin-off for the next couple of years as soon as it goes into production. So this is a very, very exciting news, and it's just seeming like Arrow is not quite ready to leave the Arrowverse quite yet. Even though this is not Arrow itself, this is going to be an Arrow spin-off, it still shows that Arrow is still incredibly important to the Arrowverse, to what it is, what it means, and it just shows that that legacy isn't ready to leave itself behind just quite yet. So this news is coming from The Hollywood Reporter, and the article reads as, "The network is developing a spin-off of Arrow that would center on its 3 female characters, Catherine McNamara's Mia Smoak, and the Canaries, which consist of Katie Cassidy Rogers' Laurel Lance and Juliana Harkavi's Dinah Drake. The potential series is set to air as a backdoor pilot in Arrow's 10-episode final season, which begins October 15th. Showrunner Beth Schwartz, Mark Guggenheim, Jill Blankenship, and Oscar Balderrama are co-writing the episode and will serve as an executive producer alongside Greg Berlanti and Sarah Schechter of Berlanti's Productions, which will produce all of the CW's DC Comics series in association with Warner Brothers TV. So this is very exciting. We can see that a lot of the original Arrow talent who have been there from the beginning, people like Mark Guggenheim and Beth Schwartz, who is of course the current showrunner for Arrow for season 7 and 8, they are sticking around to basically get this show going. It'll be interesting to see if Beth Schwartz actually sticks around as the showrunner for this new show, or perhaps Mark Guggenheim will come back. I don't quite know how that's going to work just yet, but it's very interesting that they're keeping both of them on to at least kick the series off. Obviously, they are saying this is going to be a backdoor pilot in the Arrow Season 8 season, which is very, very exciting. We know that obviously Arrow has only got 10 episodes this season, so there's not as much room to play around with, but it seems like they are going to be really focusing on one of these episodes. We know that the flash forwards and the future characters are still going to be sticking around in Season 8, so I imagine maybe one of the episodes this season will be perhaps an entire flash forward episode like we got last season in season 7. Maybe we'll get another episode like that, and that will be the backdoor pilot where it will focus on Mia, Laurel, and Dinah. But either way, really exciting news that we're going to have all of the original Arrow talent sticking around to produce this series and potentially showrun the series, and then also having a backdoor pilot within season 8. It's just a very smart move. Now, I found this news very, very interesting because when we were talking about Arrow spin-offs, and I've mentioned it on this channel, I've mentioned it on the podcast, there's been a few things that we've kind of been speaking about. There have mainly been 2 kind of spin-offs that people have wanted, either a female-led Birds of Prey spin-off or a spin-off with the future characters from the Flash forwards. Now, what's interesting about this announcement is that it's kind of a combination of the 2. This will be taking place in the future timeline because we do know that Mia Smoak will be leading the series, who is of course a future character, and also we know through season 7 that both Laurel and Dinah are both still alive in the future timeline as well. So this is going to be taking in the future, but of course this isn't going to be focusing on characters like William and Zoe and Connor, but it is going to be focusing on Mia, but also Laurel and Dinah. So it's a very female-centric, Birds of Prey-esque spin-off, if you will. Obviously, characters like Laurel and Dinah very much associated with the Birds of Prey, and it seems like that Mia will also be brought into that. It'll be interesting to see if they do bring Zoe in, because she is also a Canary, so I wonder if they'll do that. But it's really cool that they are kind of combining the 2 spin-off ideas, because it seems like maybe the CW, they were kind of fighting back and forth with each other over which one to do, and it seems like perhaps with this they found a nice middle ground. So who are the characters who will be featured in this? Well, the lead of the show will be Catherine McNamara, who will be reprising her role as Mia Smoak, who is of course the daughter of Oliver Queen and Felicity Smoak. Now, this is my main criticism with this announcement. I'd be a bit more excited about this if this wasn't the case. Only because I just feel like in Season 7, Cat McNamara wasn't exactly the strongest actress. She didn't portray herself particularly well throughout the season, and the character of Mia wasn't particularly engaging for me personally. I found her a bit annoying. She kind of felt like a bit of a Sarah Lance Light-esque character, and I like Sarah Lance, but I feel like that, you know, doing a kind of B-Tech version of that wasn't very well executed. So I feel like her being the lead of the show, it's not the best decision, but I can see why they're doing it. It makes sense. Obviously, this is Oliver's daughter. This is supposed to be the next generation of Arrow, and she is technically the next generation of the Arrow. That makes perfect sense. I understand why they're doing it, but maybe Kat McNamara will be able to step up and, you know, become stronger as an actress as this season, throughout season 8, and also as this show goes into production. We'll maybe see her actually increase her kind of acting ability, because she was the lead of a show before she came to Arrow. She was obviously the lead of Shadowhunters, so she does have the ability to do it. I just feel like the writing doesn't exactly help her performance either when it comes to Mia, but I'm still happy for her. It seems like it's a great move for her, and again, as the next generation of Arrow, it makes perfect sense to bring her in as the lead role. Juliana Harkavy will also be reprising her role as Dinah Drake. This again makes a lot of sense. We know Dinah is alive in the flash forwards. We've seen that in season 7, and she will obviously be very quintessential to this show because this is going to be focusing on the Canaries, and she is the leader of the Canaries, so that makes a lot of sense. Juliana, I absolutely love. I adore her. She's a lovely person in real life, and I just love her as an actress. I really like Dinah as a character. Didn't really love what they did with her in season 7, but that's not the discussion. That's a discussion for another day. But bringing her in for this show does make a lot of sense. Again, she's the leader of the Canaries, so you kind of need her there. If this show is going to be focusing on the Canaries itself, we're going to need the leader there, so that does make sense to bring Dinah back in. Also, I really like Dinah and her interactions with Mia. It was quite interesting. Also, her interactions with Zoe, which I'll get to Zoe in a little bit, but also her interactions with Laurel, which is also very interesting when it comes to this announcement. So I feel like Dinah, again, it makes sense to bring her in. We know she's alive. We know she's alive and well, so it makes sense to bring her into this Birds of Prey Canary spin-off. And I just mentioned her before, but Katie Cassidy Rogers will also be returning to reprise her role as Laurel Lance, or of course the Earth 2 Laurel Lance, Black Siren. Really happy about this. This is exactly what I wanted. Like, what I particularly wanted for this Arrow spin-off, I really wanted a Birds of Prey specific spin-off led by Katie Cassidy Rogers. So even though we're not getting that exactly, I'll take this. This is close enough. I love Katie Cassidy. I think she's incredible. I love her as Laurel. What she's been able to do with Earth 2 Laurel in particular has been really interesting, especially in Season 7. I think Laurel was probably the best character last season. So to bring her into the forefront, to bring her as essentially a new lead of the show is very exciting. I think she is a brilliant actress. I love Laurel now. I love what they've done with her. I can't wait to see what they do with her in this final season. And then springing her off this into the future to go and do this spin-off. It's beautiful news. It's brilliant. I love it. I'm so here for it. I'm here for Katie Cassidy, and I love the fact that this is officially happening because Katie Cassidy deserves the world, and I feel like this is a great announcement for her. This is a great way for her to kind of just, you know, really take up the mantle of this show. You know, she's been there from day one. You know, if any character should get a spin-off, it should be the Black Damn Canary, and I feel like this is the perfect way to do that, and I'm very, very happy for Katie Cassidy and so happy she's a part of this show. So what other characters could show up in this? Well, given the fact that this will be taking on the Flash Forward storyline, I imagine that we will see the other Arrow kind of kids show up. So Zoe Ramirez is probably the main one who will probably show up. Obviously, she is a member of the Canaries. We know that. That is, of course, Renee's daughter. And if she shows up, that's brilliant. I actually think that Zoe was probably the strongest of the kids, actually, from Season 7. I really like the actress who portrayed her. I think she actually came across really strong, really confident, really good. So like I say, she was probably my favorite of the new additions last season. So if she comes in, again, it would make sense. And I really like that actress, so that would be really good. Obviously, William, played by Ben Lewis, who's, of course, Oliver's son. He could also come in. That would make a lot of sense. Maybe he could be the kind of guy in the chair character, if you will, kind of like the Felicity character or the Cisco character. He could be something along those lines. Again, that would make a lot of sense, and I feel like he could kind of take up that role very easily. Of course, he is kind of very much like Felicity, so I feel like that would make a lot of sense to bring him in. Obviously, we do have Connor Hawke as well, who is the son of Bronze Tiger and the adopted son of Diggle. We could see him come back. He was really cool. I liked him. Bring him back in would be nice. He has history with Mia as well. Them two seem to have a bit of a relationship going on. So, again, it would kind of be weird if he was not in it. And John David Jones is really, or Joseph David Jones is very, very strong in the role. So I feel like, you know, seeing the other Arrow kids definitely will make a lot of sense to bring these characters back. Now, Dinah and Laurel are obviously the two sort of main characters we know are coming back, but anybody else could come back? Well, I mean, Renee's still around, so Renee could technically show up. And again, if Zoe's in the show, then you would expect Renee to show up at some point. And also, we still don't really know what the fate of Diggle is in the future. We still don't know what's going on with Diggle in the future. We don't know if he's alive, we don't know if he's dead. If he's alive, there could be potential for him to show up, but obviously we might find out in this season, in Season 8, that by the time the Flash Forwards come around, he might actually be dead by that point, so we don't actually know that yet. But I feel like other characters, it's very risky with the kind of older cast, because apart from Dinah and Laurel, who we know are returning, the other actors may want to move on and do other things. They might want to move away from Arrow, like people like Rick Gonzalez and, you know, David Ramsey if he's still around, and people like that. They might just want to move on and do other things. Like, I imagine, like, Stephen Amell won't be in this series. Emily Bett Rickards probably won't be in this series. So I feel like some of the actors will want to move away. Again, you might get cameos here and there. Like, say, you might get a Rick Gonzalez coming in at one point for, like, an episode or two. Maybe even Colton Haynes could pop in as Roy. There's a couple of ideas who could come back, but I feel like for a lot of the actors, apart from obviously Katie Cassidy and Juliana Harkavy, I feel like a lot of them might want to move on and do other things. And like I say, I feel like the potential for getting someone like Stephen Amell back is just extremely low, especially because we know Stephen Amell is the lead of a new series now. He's going on to another show after Arrow ends, so yeah, I feel like in terms of like the older cast, they could come back again, but I don't really feel like any of them are going to come back as series regulars or anything like that. Overall, though, I absolutely love the idea for this series. I think it's brilliant. It's taking the perfect combination of the two kind of spin-off ideas we had and merging them into one. I think it's a brilliant idea. And again, it's just giving Katie Cassidy that forefront that I really love. She deserves it, and I feel like, you know, out of all the characters to get a spin-off, she was the one who deserved it the most. So I'm really happy that, although she's not going to be like the main character, she's still up there as one of the leads, and I think that's great news. So what do you guys think about this announcement? Just let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you excited about this show? Will you be watching it? And what are your predictions for it? Make sure you let me know everything you think in the comment section down below. And if you want to see more DC videos just like this one, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload from me. And I hope to see you guys again next time.